a talent gap issue, or maybe not as many people entering as in insurance as are exiting insurance, but also like, how are we what's this knowledge transfer going to look like?
Welcome to the Insurance Refocused Podcast, where we're highlighting real agent stories and how they are innovating to respond to the changes and challenges happening in the independent insurance industry. My name's Lindsay, and I can't wait to introduce you to my amazing co-host, who just so happens to be my mom, Carey Wallace. Mom, how you doing today?
I'm good, Lindsay. I have had a very, very active last 2 weeks where I've been able to travel for work in some really cool places. And then your dad actually's work took us to another amazing place. So I feel kind of rested and excited that I've been able to regenerate and see some beautiful places along the way. So I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I was joking with Patrick, like, oh man, you guys have to go to Hawaii, and then you have to go to Aruba, and then you have to come back to your house on the water in Charleston. Like, rough life, man. What a rough life you live. But I'm glad that you're at least back home for a little bit. May is like a tough month because there's so many conferences in May. And one of the things about conferences is like it is hard to be away from family, but at the same time, it's like great to connect and learn and grow. And I think that's what we are going to talk about today on this podcast, is a way for incoming generation to learn and grow. So without spoiling the entire thing, welcome Beth DeLaForest back to the podcast. You were one of like our first 5 episodes, I think, on our podcast as we launched. Yeah, you came on so early.
Yeah, it was fun. And it's fun being back. And yeah, you're having me.
Today, I would love to talk about Launchpad, which is something that you two are starting together. And I think is like a really interesting and great way to give back to the industry. So Beth, I'd love if you would tell the listeners, what is Launchpad?
Yeah. So from my perspective, I would say it is a way to lift up the upcoming generation in insurance. So we have a situation in our industry, right, where we have a lot of exits, right? We have a lot of people retiring. I think we've all seen the statistics. I don't need to repeat any of them. But then we have kind of a talent gap issue, or maybe not as many people entering as in insurance as are exiting insurance, but also like, how are we what's this knowledge transfer going to look like? And so I think that, one of the challenges and opportunities more so that for people that have been in the industry for a while, are going to be in the industry for a little while, or those that are getting close to exit even, is to make sure that we are really pouring into this generation that's coming into the insurance industry and making that knowledge transfer, or like lifting them up in a way where they are set up to flourish and succeed in this awesome industry. So it's a give back, it's a lift up. Thus the name.
Yeah, I love that. We took a little time to come up with the name, Beth, to make sure that it was reflective of what we were doing. But I think both you and I really have benefited from so many people in our industry that are willing to take the time to teach us, take the time to share their knowledge or their experience with us that have allowed us to be able to grow in this industry. And we know how generous people are, and thought that would be amazing if we could actually bottle that and give that to people that are just starting in this industry in a unique way. And we also know that the industry is different than when you and I started in it, where you might not rub elbows with the same kind of people or be able to meet with the same kind of people. So creating a way to connect young people in the industry with so many people that are generous with their knowledge and time, that was the birth of Launchpad, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's really exciting, and it's also fun to be able to do it in a collaborative way. So it's not the Beth and Carey show, the Carey Beth show. To it's we're pulling in people that have had really big impacts in the industry and that have like the same heart to lift up this next generation. So um, it's I am so excited about the topics and the conversations. And then I think one thing that was really fun, because we've done one so far, but I have notes from that about, oh my gosh, these are future ones. Like if you and I do, one where we really deep dive into something like um, fear of delegation or how to delegate. Like we talk about delegating, but there's so many ways to delegate. Like, okay, that is one webinar all in and of itself. And like, how long did it take me to figure out how to delegate? Like, I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm still figuring it out, but I mean, like, so I think there's just so much. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
really fun.
I think it'll evolve and grow as we do this. So, for those of you that are listening, Launchpad is a series of webinars that we're putting together for future um, leaders, current leaders, future leaders, but people who have a lot of runway left in the insurance industry that want to learn from other people who might be able to shorten that learning curve on what those skills are to become a leader. So, our first one was Tinsley, who came and talked about lots of different things, but she really talked about imposter syndrome and how it's different for different people and how you grow as a leader and how common it is for wherever you are at the stage of leadership, how that might show up differently. And it was super cool. I mean, honestly, anyone can benefit from the topics that we're talking about, but we brainstormed a whole bunch of different topics that are all around leadership. And I think it's kind of cool for me because I see a lot of people who are getting ready to exit the industry. And I know that many people, the reason they don't or they pause is because they they don't know what they're going to do in the next chapter of their life. As an agency owner, they might feel like I want to give back. I'm not sure how to give back, and I'm not sure what I do next. So therefore, I'm going to stay in my agency. And several agency owners has asked me, like, I'd love to bottle all my knowledge and give it to someone. So there's this exit of knowledge. There's these inflow of people coming, and there's a change in our industry that AI and technology are going to actually shift what the work's going to look like. I think Launchpad is a great way to start trying to connect all of that knowledge and create an opportunity for us to provide that knowledge transfer as best we can. And that you might not also be able to get from your own leader. That's the other thing. Like different perspectives is really kind of important. Lindsay, I think that would be a great thing for us to talk about. Like you just looking to me for your leadership isn't really going to give you a well-rounded thing. And that happens a lot in our industry. I think 72% of independent insurance agencies are family-owned businesses. So what does that look like? Tell me about some of the mentors that you've found along the way that aren't me, which is a fabulous thing for us, you know?
Yeah, yeah. One of the things we were talking, before we got on the show of who are your mentors and what are some of the things they've given back to you. And I think that that's one of the most important things is especially if you are in a company where it's family, right? Have someone externally of the company that you can say like, hey, am I crazy? Like, what's going on here? Is something happening? Like, be that outside person, um, and relate to what's happening, because even though it's a family company, it's still a company, right? You still have bumps in the road. You still have hard days or really, really great days where you want to celebrate things. Um, And so I think that's really important. But also, insurance agencies are small, right? There aren't a ton of people that might be doing jobs similar to what you're doing. So having people maybe at another company who are in a similar role can make you feel like you're less on an island, right? And an example of that is at Agency Focus, I do a lot of our like sales and onboarding, but no one else on our company at our company does that. So sometimes it can feel like an island, right? I'm like, well, I'm making all these calls and these people are just sitting in spreadsheets, right, in their sweats, and I have to like do my makeup and hair every day and like get on Zoom calls, right? Like sometimes I'm like, dang, I wish I could just like be in a hoodie and sweats and spreadsheet. And I don't wish I could spreadsheet every day. But right, like having outside friends who also have to be on calls, have to take objections, have to deal with, someone else who's having a bad day and might not react to what you're going to tell them in the best way is really, really helpful, right? So mentors and peers, I think, are important as part of this process.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah. And I think the best way to train your team is for the leader of that team not to be the one that's doing the training all the time. Like I think it's too much of one person. And I know for our team, I have a bunch of different trainings I bought from all over the place. And I will just share them and play them or have that person come in and we'll do a workshop. Because otherwise it just becomes like my voice repetitive and it just doesn't land well, like for everything, you know?
Yeah. And here's the reality. Um, People like to be led in a lot of different ways. And while I believe, Beth, you do your best to meet everybody where they are, and I believe that I do my best to meet everybody where they are, providing different outlets and different opportunities to be mentored by a wide variety of people can only strengthen both of our organizations and everyone around us. So I'd love to hear from both of you one of the mentors that have made such an impact in your life. And then I'd love to talk about some of the people that have donated their time to Launchpad that could be potential mentors to others. So, Beth, why don't you tell me about someone who was an incredible mentor to you and how they impacted you as a leader?
Yeah. Okay. So there are so many for me, but the two I'm going to focus on the two like really early ones. Later on, there's so many now. I feel like if I talk about one, I'm gonna not name three others because I feel like this is one area that I feel like I've committed to always being a sponge. Like I want to always learn, and so I am blessed to have a lot of people around me I can learn from. But starting out, so I started out at State Farm when I was 20, and there was a woman named Sue, and she literally, so the one thing I'd say is, so I was at State Farm for 10 years. Captives do a great job of training. Like they really got it. They got it down. Independent agencies, just inherently, it's harder for a wide variety of reasons. But she just really taught me everything about the system, coverages, um, even like the little nuances of like, when you're quoting an auto, like how you can kind of, we all know, like you can kind of do little tricks in different systems to kind of help decompress the rate a little bit. And so like all of the ins and outs of that. And then just really solid operations. So she was just always like I was on, I was her right hand and I just learned a ton. The second one was fun because it was after I left State Farm and I went on my own. And I started building a book from scratch. There was a woman named Laurel, and she is so I wanted to learn everything commercial when I went independent and started my book. And so she taught me commercial insurance, and I cut my teeth with her for 3.5 years before I started in the agency. So those two, I'd say, laid my foundation for sure. There would be no way I'd be where I am today without those two.
Yeah, I love that. How about you, Lindsay? Give us an example of a mentor and what impact they've had on your career.
Yeah, I have two examples. First is a professor that I basically worked for free for because I wanted to be a sponge and she didn't have any spots. And so I basically said, well, I have free time. I didn't. I have free time. I'm going to take your project that I know is really important to you and I'm going to continue working on it. And here's what I'm going to do. And through that project, we got really close. And I think one of the things that she taught me the most in doing that was she asked about my family and she asked about things happening in my personal life. And that really helped me combine here's work and here's like your personal life. And they kind of combine and how to network, right? Like she taught me a lot of those things where, as previously, I was like, oh, she's my professor, she's my boss. Like she doesn't really care about my boyfriend or she doesn't really care about my dog, right? No, those things help bring like life into what happens. And she actually still texts me and follows up with me, which is really lovely. She also did plenty of other things like encouraging me to get an accreditation, you know, all of these great things she did. My second was at Indium. My boss, Caleb, who is a great mentor and also a great friend, he taught me that like it's good to think things through out loud and to take an opposite perspective and kind of have those conversations where you're like, hey, here's something I'm thinking about. Can you like shoot holes in it and tell me all of the ways that this is wrong? And sometimes I'm like, at the end of those conversations, right? Both of us were like, yeah, it's not a good idea. Let's not do it. Or it becomes blaringly obvious that it's a great idea or even builds on the idea, right? So the idea of like thinking on your feet of here's an objective, like here's something that's wrong with that. Actually, no, like we can get around that by doing this or this happens, right? That was a really, really great part of like building our relationship that we still do with each other to this day, like all the time, which is very lovely and helpful.
Yeah,
That's
I love
awesome.
that.
That's so good. And I love the verbal processing piece because I know you guys would both know that about me, but that is like, yeah, it's it's so good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and having someone you know, like, and trust, right?
Yeah.
To be that person that you're like,
Mhm.
okay, shoot this down like you're at a shooting range, please. Like let's just go. Like fight with me about this. Let's do it. And knowing that at the end of the day, like this person thinks you're smart, they think the best of you, and they always have your back, right? Is like the best type of sparring partner you can
Totally.
ever imagine.
Well, you're coming from an area, a place of trust. Like, I'm going to trust you to share something I'm not 100% sure of. And I'm going to trust that you have the best intentions to help me get better. There's no way around it. That's invaluable because, Beth, I would say you and I have definitely kicked around ideas where I'm just not sure. And I want that honest feedback and vice versa. I mean, we just did that where we went away and Beth, Michelle, and I all shared all kinds of things, and you leave so much better than when you started because you've got these people surrounding you that want to see you succeed, and they also want you to not have to go down a road and hit a stone wall because they weren't brave enough to tell you, hey, you're probably heading down the wrong path here. So, I think the value of people that are willing to do that. And the cool thing is, this industry is filled with people like that. I have two that I'd love to share. My first and best mentor was actually my dad. He was the epitome of how you handle conflict and handle trying to resolve things in a pretty it's just funny how you find a way to find common ground in people in a pretty unique way. He also had a way of making everyone feel like they were the most important person in the room. So I've always tried to observe how he did that and try my best to emulate it. And I think just being around people that have that way about them has helped shape who I want to be. I'm not saying I'm successful at it all the time, but I try my hardest to do that. So finding common ground and making sure you're as present as as you possibly can be, especially with the people you work with. My dad was gone quite a bit in the military and then living overseas. But when he was with you, you felt like he never left. It was the craziest thing. So that's kind of a cool thing. But then I joined this industry several years ago, and the Big I and the PIA in the state association I was in was merging. And once that merger was done, George Hansel was the CEO of the PIA of Ohio, and he introduced me to one of my most favorite mentors that I've had the entire time after that, because the Big I state associations became peers of ours, and I was able to meet someone that I absolutely adore. Her name is Lisa Lounsbury. She runs the Big I of New York. She was actually stepping into that role as we were merging. So I watched how graceful she was at taking over from someone she admired. I watched how she showed up in a room where maybe she didn't have the same beliefs as everybody, but she had the ability to, again, find common ground and really get to a good place. She was able to see challenges for independent agents and do it and help find solutions for that in a way that she genuinely cares about people. So I watched how she showed up in a room, and as female leaders, she wasn't abrasive by any stretch of the imagination, but she showed up in a very strong, confident, and graceful way. And I remember just thinking, that's the kind of leader I want to be. And observing and watching her has been a really important way of shaping me as I found my place in this industry as a female. So I don't even know if she knows that, to be quite honest with you, but I always watch and learn from her. And I'm very grateful to George for connecting us. I think he recognized this is a male dominated industry, and you have to find people that you can relate to. And there's plenty of men that, I mean, genuinely have shaped my career, but it is also great to find other people you can relate to and that you want to emulate. So I hope that Launchpad does that, and you can find the people that you can go to for questions, but you can also emulate if they're the kind of leaders that you also want to be. So Beth, let's talk about some of the people that have helped us and have been so quick to say yes when we ask them, would you share your knowledge with young leaders in the industry? So who are some of the ones that you want to highlight? It would be hard for us to name all of them, but who are a few that you're excited to hear from?
Well, okay, so Wesley from Agency VA is this upcoming month, and I'm really excited. First of all, I just think he's really awesome.
Yeah.
Personally and professionally, I just have a lot of respect for him. But I also think his topic with like AI and delegation, using AI, was so valid and useful, and maybe something that I don't know that I've actually heard that topic before, but I think it's a brilliant topic. And so and then I just, for me, Billy Wagner is always like the GOAT, right? Like he's just so willing to give back, and he has a way of delivering things where you can implement right away. And it's relatable. And so I just am really excited for him. Um, and then Jeff Roy as well, like that. He is just somebody that I really admire, and don't I can probably confidently say that I will never get to that degree of knowledge in AI and everything that he's doing. But I do like listening to him, because he gives my brain more wrinkles, right? Like I
He
feel like I'm
does.
smarter. And you know what he does too is, even though he's doing things on such a bigger scale than I am, he gets my wheels turning. So like he gets my creative juices flowing. And so that's something that, I really love. So how about you?
Yeah, so I am super excited that Michelle O'Connor is joining us. Like, she might be one of the most analytical and thoughtful leaders that I know, where she combines empathy and data in order to actually create her path forward. And I really admire that about her. So she was an automatic yes when we asked, like she was like, oh, please, whatever I can do, I'm happy to do it, which is great. Um, I'm super excited to hear what Matt Namoli has to say. I think that of the human beings that I get to call friends, he's at the top of the list of me feeling pretty fortunate that he's been an incredible sounding board for me. And I know that anybody who is looking for what is this industry going to look like in the future, and how do I position myself as a leader and as someone who can convey how much you care about other human beings. He's very, very good at that. So he's got a lot of qualities that I think are incredible. And then it's funny you mentioned Wes. He's our next speaker, and I would describe Wes the same way. He genuinely cares about people, and he takes time to connect. And he has a great idea about things don't happen in boardrooms. They don't happen in conference rooms. They happen when you get outside and get to know it. Kind of, Lindsay, like you were talking about your professor, like he wants to get to know other human beings. And to that end, I got a message when we posted about Wes joining us on Launchpad, that CJ Hunsenpiller is also going to join us about AI and the topic about that. So it's contagious. Like there's people that like, oh, I didn't know that's what you were doing. We want to get involved as well, and we'd love to give back. And CJ was talking about wanting to do a conference for people that are 40 years old and under in the industry. And I understand there's lots of young agent conferences. There's tons of ways to get involved in our industry, but this one, it's free. Like you come to a webinar, you can listen to these people, you connect with other people who want to grow as leaders. They're all donating their time. There's really nothing other than we want to give back. And we've benefited from all this network that we've created, and we want to share that network and have you build the network that gets you to the next level in the industry as well. So the names are kind of countless, and I hope if you're listening to this and you're someone who wants to give back, maybe you're an agency owner that you would love to mentor young people in the industry, and there's a topic you'd love to talk about, we want to hear from you. And if you know someone that can benefit from it, please send them our way, because there is no better way than just to get involved and to listen to what's on the minds of other people and have a conversation about that. So yeah, I'm super pumped with the people that raised their hand almost immediately and said, how do I get involved?
Such a good reflection of the industry, like when people it's just purely a give, and I just love it.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Well, thank you both for creating this for the next generation. I know I attended as much as I could of the first one, and all of those people you named are people that I would love to be in a room with, and find myself fortunate to have been in a room with them or have sat next to them at dinner and gotten to know them a little bit more. That is a all-star lineup right there. So thank you both for creating it.
Yeah. So if you're interested, we'll make sure that in the show notes, there's a way to reach out. If you're a potential participant, you're a leader, a young leader or a young person in this industry, and you're like, man, how do I get on that list? You're on the list. Just reach out to us, and we're happy to create space. And if you're someone that would love to get involved and share your knowledge with someone, with lots of future leaders inside the industry, please reach out to us. We are fortunate. I think we have plenty of people. It's once a month webinar, and we'll connect everybody that they can have ongoing conversations as well. But we are always looking for knowledge, topics, et cetera, that help grow the future of this industry. So we look forward to hearing from you. And if you have more questions about Launchpad, Beth and I are always happy to have a conversation with anyone. So awesome. Thanks, Beth, for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the Insurance Refocused Podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, please be sure to hit subscribe and leave us a review so you'll never miss us. Want to learn more about how Agency Focus can help you grow your agency? Head to agency-focus.com or email Carey directly at carey@agency-focus.com. If you need to get in touch with me, feel free to shoot me an email at lindsay@agency-focus.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week.